The woman at the well. Have you ever felt completely alone carrying a burden nobody else can see? The woman at the well walked a long, lonely road to avoid judgment. But on her darkest day, she met a stranger who saw past her past and offered her a new life. Join us as we uncover this timeless story of shame, unexpected grace, and the surprising freedom found in a single, life-changing conversation. Like this video and share it with someone who might need to hear this message of living water. And in the comments below, we invite you to share your thoughts. What part of the woman's journey resonated most with you? She came to the well to avoid the crowd. But she found me instead, and I showed her that I know her heart, and I am the living water. The sun was at its highest point, a brutal and unforgiving hammer in the Judean sky. It was the kind of heat that drove all sensible people into the cool darkness of their homes, a time when the marketplace was silent and the well was left to the lizards and the dust. I had sent my disciples ahead into the village of Sychar to buy food, a simple act that would set the stage for a divine and beautiful encounter. I was weary from the journey, and I sat alone at the well, a man in a quiet moment of rest. In that village lived a woman whose life was a portrait of both public shame and deep private longing. She was a Samaritan, a person despised by my people, a woman with a past that had left her with a reputation that was an unmistakable scar. She had been married 5 times, and the man she was with now was not her husband. The village knew her story, and they had judged her for it. Her sin was not a secret. It was a public reality that followed her like a shadow. It was the reason she came to the well in the noonday sun when everyone else was gone, for she could not bear the stares, the whispers, the condemnation of the very people she was meant to live with. Her life was ordinary in its routines, but her heart was not. Every day she would make this lonely journey, carrying her water jar and her shame. She would come to Jacob's well, a place of profound history, a place where the water was deep and pure, but the water she drew could never quench the deep thirst of her soul, the aching loneliness that had driven her to seek love and acceptance in all the wrong places. Her past was a long and weary road, filled with failed promises and broken dreams. She was a woman who was living a lie, a life of pretense and quiet despair. She had no idea that her lonely, ordinary routine was about to be transformed by a divine encounter. She had no idea that the man sitting at the well, a stranger from a different people, was a man who knew her past and her future, a man who had come not to condemn her, but to set her free. The world had told her that she was unclean, that she was unworthy, that her sins were an uncrossable chasm between her and the holy. But I was about to show her that my love was an endless bridge, a truth that would change her life and the lives of all who would hear her story for generations to come. The peaceful rhythm of my afternoon was broken by the sound of her footsteps, a lonely rhythm of a woman who was accustomed to being alone. She approached the well, her head down, her body a portrait of shame and exhaustion. She was so focused on her loneliness, so consumed by her own inner world, that she did not even notice me at first. She was a woman who was living a life in the shadows, a life that had no light, no hope, and no future. I watched her as she came to the well, and my heart was filled with a profound and overwhelming love for her. I did not see her past. I did not see her shame. I saw a soul that was longing for a love that the world could never provide, a heart that was parched and weary from a lifetime of searching. The world had seen her as a statistic, a woman with a list of failures that defined her. But I saw her as a beautiful broken vessel that was waiting to be filled with the living water. And then I spoke. My words, so simple and so ordinary, were a profound disruption to her lonely existence. "Give me a drink." The request was a hammer blow to her understanding of the world. I was a Jew and she was a Samaritan. We were 2 people who, by the laws of our cultures, should have had no contact with each other. Her face, so recently a portrait of shame, now held a mixture of shock and suspicion. "How is it that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a Samaritan woman?" She was speaking of a truth she had been taught since she was a child, a truth that had been a wall between our 2 peoples for centuries. The crack in her ordinary world was the moment she was forced to confront the truth that her past was not a wall I could not cross. My request was not just for a drink of water. It was an invitation to a deeper conversation, a spiritual dialogue that would change her life forever. I had shattered the walls of her prejudice and her shame, and I had invited her into a place of profound spiritual intimacy. Her past was not a barrier to my love. It was the very reason I had come. The conversation deepened, moving beyond the simple request for water into a profound and unsettling spiritual truth. If you knew the gift of God and who it is that is saying to you, "Give me a drink," you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. My words were a riddle, a spiritual truth that her mind could not yet grasp. She was still thinking in terms of the physical, of the deep well and the long rope. "Sir, you have no bucket and the well is deep. Where then do you get that living water?" Her breaking point was not a moment of despair, but a moment of profound spiritual revelation. I began to speak of her past, of the very things she had been hiding from her whole life. I told her of her 5 husbands and of the man she was with now who was not her husband. My words were not a condemnation, they were a revelation. I was showing her that I knew her, that I saw her, and that her past was not a secret to me. I was a stranger, and yet I knew her most intimate and painful truth. She was filled with a holy and righteous fear. Her face, which had been filled with suspicion, was now filled with awe and a profound, overwhelming humility. "Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet." Her words were a confession, an admission that she had been wrong about me, wrong about herself, and wrong about her past. She had come to the well to avoid the crowds, to hide her shame from the world, and she had found a man who had looked into the deepest parts of her soul and had not turned away. Her breaking point was not a moment of defeat, but a moment of profound surrender. She was at the end of her road, the end of her pretense, the end of her shame. She had tried to find love and acceptance in all the wrong places, and in this single divine encounter, she had found a love that was pure, unconditional, and endless. She had come to the well to fill a jar with water, and she had found a man who had come to fill her soul with living water. Her life was about to be changed forever. The profound spiritual shift in her life was not a moment of quiet change, but a public and powerful declaration. She had been a woman who had come to the well in shame, and she was about to leave as a woman with a message of hope. She had been a person who had been defined by her past, and she was about to become a messenger of her future. The spiritual shift was a powerful and undeniable truth. She had been a woman who was living a life in the shadows, and she was about to walk into the light. She left her water jar at the well, a symbolic act of surrender. The jar, which had been a physical and emotional weight, was now a meaningless vessel. She had come for physical water, but she had found spiritual water, and the thirst of her soul was finally quenched. She ran back into the village, a place she had so desperately tried to avoid, and she began to tell everyone she saw about the man she had met. "Come see a man who told me all that I ever did. Can this not be the Christ?" Her words were a testament to the truth she had just discovered. She was not a theologian or a prophet or a teacher. She was a simple, ordinary woman who had met a man who had changed her life. The village, which had been filled with judgment and condemnation, was now filled with curiosity and a profound and unsettling wonder. They had known her story. They had whispered about her past. But now they were hearing a new story, a story of a woman who had met a man who had seen her and had not judged her. They left their homes and their work and began to walk toward the well, to see me for themselves. The very people she had been hiding from were now coming to her, listening to her, and asking her to tell them more. The shift was a powerful and beautiful lesson for my disciples, for the village, and for all who would hear the story. It was a revelation that my love was not limited by social convention or religious law. My love was for the outcast, the shamed, the broken. I was showing them that a person's past does not define their future. The purpose of this miracle was not just to bring a woman to faith. It was to reveal the very nature of my Father's kingdom. The woman at the well was a living, breathing sermon on the true meaning of worship. She had been taught that worship was about a place, about a temple, about a mountain. But I had shown her that true worship was not about a place, but about a heart. It was about a spirit and a truth that was boundless and unconditional. Her story is a profound and beautiful parable of what it means to truly believe. It is a story about a woman who had nothing, but in her moment of total helplessness, she was able to recognize that her greatest need was not for physical water, but for living water. Her purpose was not just to receive a miracle, but to be a living testament to the truth that my love knows no bounds. She was a Samaritan, an outcast, and yet she had a faith that was so great that it would be a lesson for all of time. I was teaching them that the distance between me and you is not a physical one, but a spiritual one. The woman, a person who was far from the temple and far from the faith of my people, was spiritually closer to me than the many who stood around me that day. Her faith was a testament to the truth that a heart that trusts in my word is a heart that is truly connected to me. I had a purpose for her, a purpose that went far beyond the healing of her soul. I had come to heal her heart, to give her a faith that was so pure, so unburdened by shame that it would be a light to all who saw her. The story ends with a final, beautiful revelation. The Samaritans, the people who had been considered unclean and unworthy, came to me and asked me to stay with them. I stayed for 2 days and they heard my words and they came to believe, not because of the woman's testimony, but because of what they had seen with their own eyes. They said to the woman, "It is no longer because of what you said that we believe, for we have heard for ourselves and know that this is indeed the Savior of the world." The closing impact of this story is felt not just in the Samaritan village, but in the hearts of every person who has ever heard this story. It is a profound and unsettling truth. The greatest gift we can receive, the healing of our own impossible burdens, is not just a gift to be cherished, but a command to be lived out in our own lives. We are not just receivers of grace. We are channels of it. The woman at the well is a profound reminder that a heart that trusts in my word is a heart that will always find its way to freedom. So as I look upon you, my children, I see your own past, your own shame, your own heartaches. I am telling you now in this moment that my love knows no limits. I do not need you to be perfect. I do not need you to be pure. I simply need you to believe. So go now and be the believers. For it is in the act of trusting in my word that you truly understand the power you have received. You are the well and I am the living water, and I am here for you now. I see you. Just like the woman who came to the well, you carry burdens that feel too heavy to share, and you walk a path where you feel unseen. But I want you to know I am waiting for you there, not to judge your past, but to offer you a future. I see your story and I am not afraid of it. You've been thirsty for something real, trying to fill an empty jar with temporary fixes. My offer is different. It is water that will never run dry, a spring welling up to eternal life. Come to me, and you will find a place where your past doesn't define you and your future is full of hope. The woman thought she knew me, but I knew her in a way no one ever had before, seeing her not for her mistakes, but for who she was meant to be. I am ready to do the same for you. Let go of the need to hide, for in my presence every broken piece is made whole. Her life was transformed in a single moment, and she ran back to her village filled with a new purpose. Your story too can be a testament to my grace. Don't keep this living water to yourself. When I fill your heart, share it, and let your joy be a light for others to follow. So, listen to this simple truth. There is no shame in your thirst, only a divine invitation to drink. I am here to give you a new start, a life that flows with purpose and peace, not because of what you've done, but because of who I am. Don't wait another moment. Come and drink. The woman at the well found an answer to her deepest thirst, and in that moment her life was transformed. Her story is a timeless reminder that every person is seen, every burden is known, and a single conversation can change everything. If this message of hope and new beginnings resonated with you, please help us share it. Like this video to show your support, and share it with someone who might be thirsty for a similar message. And in the comments below, we'd love to hear from you. We invite you to share. What part of this story felt the most personal to you?